we're finding that there are a lot of people wanting to get into freelancing, and whenever we've asked the question of our clients, we found that there are lots of fears for those considering freelancing. I mean, the market at the moment is changing immensely. The big companies don't seem to be investing in people. There are a lot of changes to the employment rights, there are a lot of changes to the cost of employment coming up. And we're seeing quite a few redundancies. We're seeing hiring freezes, and we're seeing employers wanting to recruit more independent freelancers that they can come in to do a project or do a piece of work, and then they don't have to keep them on the payroll, so that they're not as committed to them. So we thought it'd be really, really interesting to talk to some of our favourite clients, like you, and find out a little bit about why you went into freelancing. I suppose what success looks like for you, whether you're enjoying it, how it's working for you, and maybe things like what would you have done differently if you knew then what you know now, would you still have done it? So George, go on, tell us a little bit about you and your business, what it is you do first of all.
Yeah, of course, thank you. I'm George, and I started a business in about the summer of last year as a specialist legal recruiter.
Right.
I am a one-man band, and at least for the foreseeable future, that's going to be the case. But yeah, absolutely loving it, despite some challenges, let's say. So far, so good.
Okay, brilliant. So whenever you started up, and we were talking about this off air. Never said that before. We were talking about this off air.
Not a camera.
And I said, I remember whenever I first started working for myself, I left the corporate world, and I just went, boom, gone, jumped 2 feet in, no kind of safety net, nothing. But that's the way I do things. Some people would rather sort of ease into the world of freelance. What about you? How did you go about it?
Yeah, I probably not too dissimilar to you, just kind of went for it. In my mind, going from being an employee to freelancer, sole trader, owning a limited company as a one-person company, there's never an exact time you should do it. And for me, I kind of work best when there's a bit of pressure. Obviously, I had a bit of a lead-in time, and it had been something that had been stewing away in my mind for a few months, thinking I want to give this a go one day on my own. But really, just got to pull the plug and give it a go. So that's what I did.
That's interesting. I think different people will, some different things will work for different people. In terms of it, so you said it was stewing in your mind for quite a while. That was probably the should I, shouldn't I? You've been in legal recruitment already as an employee, so you knew first and foremost you're a salesperson. Recruitment is a sales role essentially. So I think you've got a real benefit there of being able to sell and knowing that you can do that. Often freelancers who haven't had that sales background can really struggle because the winning work is the biggest challenge for them. It's not the doing of the job. So for you, hopefully you had a clear plan as to how you would go about winning work. What would you say were the biggest challenges to you then whenever you started?
Yeah, and it probably is, even though, yes, I had experience and some success doing this as an employee, the biggest thing in the world of recruitment is selling yourself and your services. It's very people driven. So I think I just had to throw myself in, get myself out there, start speaking to some new clients. And really, there's no, as much as email marketing and all the rest supports what I do in terms of business development, I think there's no substitute for just picking up the phone and hard work. That's kind of my way of working and the way that I eventually get to work with most clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't just sit and wait for the business to come to you. You can't build a pretty website and people will come knocking. You've got to get out there and knock the doors, whether that's metaphorically or physically.
Yeah, and it's a combination of everything. So as much as the lion's share of my job as it is a sales job, it's recruitment. You've got to build relationships, and there's loads of different ways you can do it. So we've been together on a few networking events, and that's great for helping get to know people rather than just going and selling. It's introducing yourself and building things over time. So that's worked really well as well.
Yeah, okay. Actually, that leads really nicely into a lot of the other feedback we're getting from freelancers is it can be quite lonely. On the positive side, you've got this freedom.
Yeah.
You've got all of this freedom to do what you want to do. You don't have to go into an office. You don't have to commute. You've got total freedom. But the flip side of that is there's nobody telling you what to do, and you don't have to go anywhere. So you can end up quite solitary.
Sat on your kitchen table all afternoon or a week. I've done that. So yeah, I think for me, one of the best decisions I made. Smack the microphone. One of the best decisions I made was to actually use a co-working space pretty much from day one.
Okay.
Because going from an employee where you're on a busy sales floor and there's a lot of chat, people having banter and it's good fun, then flipping that to a complete U-turn where you're on your own, it's tricky.
Have you met other people through those co-working spaces? Or?
Yeah, actually other recruiters as well, which is handy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you can share in the camaraderie and the ups and downs that come with doing the job, but also other service providers, other people you can network with, and people. It's really beneficial.
Brilliant. What other networking events have you found so far, or is that something that you do?
It's mostly been the Fresh Walks event that we've done together, and that's just because I like getting out and being outside, to be honest. Yeah, and that's been where I've spent most of my time.
Again, I suppose that's really good. If you weren't somebody that had taken that plunge and got a co-working space, something like Fresh Walks is great because you get outside, so it's good for the mental health. You do build better relationships. I personally think you'll build a better relationship spending a few hours on a walk with a number of people than you will meeting and going for coffee whenever it seems quite almost staged. And well, hi, I'm Sarah and this is what I do.
And especially if someone's thinking of going, I don't know, maybe they're a graphic designer or software developer, whatever, something that's not as client facing as you might be in a recruitment role. And it can feel a little bit staged and a bit forced if you go to like these coffee, breakfast networking events. So yeah, that's why I think it can, or that particular event can work really well, just 'cause it's a bit more natural.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose for people that haven't naturally, I mean, whenever I started working for myself, so before I was running IN Accountancy, I had a business coaching consultancy business where I think I met you first off at the Chamber of Commerce. Prior to that, I was with Adidas in the corporate world. Whenever I started working for myself, I thought networking was what the IT help desk did.
Nice.
I'd never heard of business networking. I'd never heard of BNI. So I'm sure there are other people that come out thinking like that. And I must say, whenever I started my own, I went to everything I could just to, go to the opening of an envelope, so to speak, just to see what was available and see what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And I think the big thing that I really learned was that you've got to put yourself out there because nobody else is going to do it for you. But also, you've got to maybe not prejudge something, go along and see, and get a feel for something. Or say, I'll try anything once. If I don't like it, I'll try it again just to make sure. But they won't get a third time. But also, networking isn't necessarily about trying to sell to somebody in the room. It's about building relationships that might become something further down the line.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I've had first-hand experience of it, and I'm sure you have as well, is just where you get to know someone through one of these events, and then it's through their network you get a recommendation or a referral. And also, as a business owner, you're going to need suppliers and need people that you need to work with, so you're going to want to work with people who you like and who you trust. So it's a good way to do that as well.
Yeah, that know, like, trust, the like and trust is really important. I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to say on here, but we've got a no policy, which whenever you work for yourself, you can do that. You can actually choose not to work with people you don't like, whether that's as clients, suppliers, candidates. You've suddenly got choice. What do you say the other benefits are of working for yourself?
I think that's it. And the stuff you alluded to then is around the freedom to work with who I want and do it how I want.
Yeah. What have you done today so far?
We did say, naturally, I went for a run this morning. So it's nice to get that in the morning.
How many miles do you do a week?
About 60, 70 miles a week.
Yeah, okay. So it's
ticking along.
Much easier to do that without a long commute.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the freedom to do that, but I suppose I mean, it's the freedom to work with the clients that want to invest in you as well. That's been something that I've found really rewarding, because particularly given what I do, it's very relationship driven. So yeah, great chance to do that and invest your time where you want.
Brilliant. What would you say then to somebody that is sitting on the fence? They're thinking they're not really happy in their job, but they're being paid well, and you know it's not too much of a stretch, but they're just kind of they're wondering, they're toying with the idea. What would you say?
Give it a go. Like, there's never gonna, as I said before, there's never gonna be a perfect time for it.
No.
Yes, there may be some people that may ease their way in a bit more, have a bit of like a side hustle, build up more of a nest egg and do it that way. And that's fine. But for me, it was kind of throwing myself in at the deep end and going for it. Despite some of the challenges, it's absolutely been worth it. Yeah. What
would you say to George 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whenever he's thinking about making this jump?
Yeah, I suppose it would be trust the process, because going to being self-employed or freelancer, there's going to be ups and downs, but whatever your system is, just trust it and stick to it, and everything will work out as planned. So yeah, that's I think the main thing. The outcome will look after itself if you stick to your process day in, day out, and you put in the effort.
Yeah, put in the effort. I think that's critical. I think you've got to make sure you're always moving forward, and you know, every day's a school day.
I mean, in my world, you know, more often than not, unfortunately, candidate don't get the job, or candidate don't accept the job they get offered, and that's just the way it is. Whereas I absolutely am in control of, you know, speaking to new people, speaking to new clients, candidates. So as long as you trust that process and you're methodical and work hard, rest will look after itself. Yeah.
How do you find the multiple hats? I mean, you're not just a recruiter anymore.
Yeah.
You're a researcher, probably.
Yeah.
You're the finance director. You're the systems and processes guy. You're the marketeer. You're the sales. How do you find juggling that?
That is tricky, because like most people that take the plunge from an employed role, you do it because you like doing your job and you want the freedom to do it your own way. And wearing the other hats, like just getting pulled in all different directions, I find it's tricky managing your time. But yeah, get a good support team around you. That's a good bit of advice.
Yeah. And how do you find that support team?
Often through, in the same way that I'll find my clients, often through recommendations and just getting yourself out there and speaking with people. Yeah, that's often the way it's come about. So
I suppose there's another watch out for people who might be thinking about the freelancing journey. What would you say your biggest mistakes been, or to phrase that in a different way, maybe more positively, how, you know, is there something that you've learned that you would say, absolutely don't do this or do that?
Yeah, there's definitely been plenty of mistakes, but I'd probably say in the early days, probably like, I suppose, not following a gut instinct. So especially when you've just set up, you want to take on as much work as you can and really get yourself out there, and probably not following my gut instinct and investing time perhaps with some clients that weren't fully invested in me.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas now I can be a little bit more choosy in working with some great clients where, you know, it's reciprocated, we have a good relationship, can be open and honest with them from the off. And obviously that gets the best outcome. So yeah, probably the biggest mistake is maybe trying to take on too much or not being as selective as perhaps could be.
I think that's a hugely valuable piece of piece of advice for anybody that's thinking about this journey, because it's very, very easy, especially if you don't have that safety net. If you're reliant on the income, it can be very tempting just to work with whoever has promised to pay you for the work. But actually, if they're not right for you and if they're not a good fit, you're not going to be able to deliver the best for them. They're not going to appreciate you, and it can be a downward spiral.
Absolutely.
Versus a virtuous circle.
And the thing is, you probably, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, is this the best place to spend my time?
But done this.
But you know, learn from mistakes, right?
Definitely, absolutely. Final question, if I can remember what it was going to be. I know what I was going to ask you. We talked a little bit about how precious your time is,
Mm-hmm.
because you're having to be everything. You
Mm-hmm.
are you are the business,
Yep.
regardless of whether you're a sole trader or a limited company. You're having to do everything in it.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the first thing or the first couple of things that you would outsource or that you have outsourced?
Yeah. So there will be a couple of things so one would be financial services support, because I don't know where to start. So using you guys in accountancy has been great, just because you don't know what, having never done it.
Yeah.
You want that dealt with by someone who knows what they're doing.
Recruitment consultant. You wouldn't want me doing that. So
yeah, you want someone who knows what they're doing. And it's just like peace of mind, especially like all the statutory requirements and stuff that often changes. It's not my bag, so get some good people in your corner. And then the other thing would be looking at, I suppose, some support in back office virtual support. That's something that I'm looking at in the coming months.
Yes.
Just because, again, given my time, there's only so much. There's only so many hours in the day, so that would be something where I think I could leverage some.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good support.
You need to look at the stuff that really only you can do and prioritize that, and then try to get rid of other things. And again, it can be nerve-wracking at the start, because then you're having to pay for something that you know you could do, but it's about choosing where the best.
Exactly. Yeah. Where am I going to get the most bang for your buck in your time? What do you do best, and what can someone else support you with and help you, I suppose.
Yeah, I think another really valuable piece of advice for somebody just starting out. Thank you.